You guys want to learn about RNAV? Let's do it. Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back on board Airbus A320 at Waypoints Aviation. Do apologize, we've been away for quite a while. I think almost 2 weeks, and it's been well over a week or longer since we posted our last video, and I do apologize. But we had a good reason, because if you look at the little eye candy in front of me, we've been busy upgrading our simulator. So gone are the scratchy old projectors, and now we've got 4K in there, and we also upgraded our computers. So that took a little bit longer than we anticipated, but we're so happy with the results. And I'm like a kid in a candy shop right now, just looking at these wonderful new graphics and screens. It's amazing. The simulator has also received an upgrade. We've done some changes and stuff like that, and fixed some minor issues that we had before. So it's all good, and we are ready for a whole new season of providing YouTube videos to anyone and everyone who likes them. So guys, without any further ado, as I said in the intro, we're going to be focusing on the RNAV approaches today. All right, so I've already given you the VORs, I've given you the ILS, and we're going to wrap this one up with the RNAV. All right, so the RNAV approaches, they work in a way that basically, if you're using VOR or an ILS, you're dependent on ground equipment. All right, like an ILS beacon or a VOR beacon, to transmit data to the aircraft, which you can then tune into using the ILS and VORs radios on board the aircraft, pick up that frequency, hone in on that frequency, and then fly towards it, right? So that's basically how we were using the ILS and the VORs. But RNAV is different, because RNAV is GPS based. All right, it works off the GNSS, which is Global Navigation Satellite System. And RNAV can also be short formed into area navigation. So it's primarily using GPS, all right, to navigate. And the good thing about using GPS is because, as the name says, it's global. So it's given us greater accuracies, it's given us a greater chance of, well, not getting lost. And it allows us to update the position of the aircraft and know the position of the aircraft in real time, regardless of where we are. Instead of trying to find out where we are between 2 points using ground navigation, we could literally just take satellite information and we know exactly where we are on the planet. And that really helps us out. So RNAV, being GPS based, it works out into two. So you've got the regular RNAVs, all right, and then you have the RNP, which is required navigation performance. So if you look at a chart and you see RNP on it, then you will know that at some given point there is a navigation performance required for that. All right, that's thus RNP. So what we have to do is, if you're doing an RNP approach, you have to actually come here into the progress page, and you've got to check that your GPS primary and the accuracy is high. You also need to check that the required GPS amount and what you currently have, this should be less than this. All right, so if you require 1.0, you need to have 1.0 here or less. All right, if that number goes higher, than this number, then you've got a degraded GPS signal or something's wrong with your RNAV. You don't have accuracy, which means you can't rely on it. So that's there. And then you have an RNAV AR. Okay, so AR basically requires you to do special training before you can do this approach. So AR approaches, you got AR approaches all around the world. Like specifically, you've got Kathmandu, which is also in Nepal, which is a captain's only landing, and yeah, so basically these are the different kinds of RNAV approaches. And so today I'm in Dubai, back in Dubai, my favorite place, my home, and I'm gonna get the aircraft airborne, and I'm gonna head out towards the World Islands, and then from there I'm going to basically brief you guys about the RNAV approach that we're going to do, and then I'm going to show you how we do it. All right, so stand by. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to complete the cockpit setup. I'm going to push back, taxi over, get the aircraft airborne, and then I'm basically just going to take us to the holding point over the World Islands, and then we're going to shoot the approach. The weather in Dubai today is the winds are 180, 10 knots. The QNH is 1002. The temperature is 40 degrees with a dew point of 19. So the dew point is low today, which means it's going to be a little bit more visibility than we've had in the last few days, because when the dew point is high, you know, it creates a haze over the city, and then kind of almost like foggy conditions. So it should be okay. So let me program everything in and get this aircraft up in the air, and I'll get back to you once we're over the World Islands, and then we're going to brief and we're going to shoot the approach. All right, stay tuned for that coming up. Alrighty guys, so we're here, we're over the World Islands, and there's the Palm Jumeirah with the Hotel Atlantis right at the very end of it, and that would be Dubai Marina in the distance, as you can see. But during the summers of Dubai, we've got that haze from the heat that sits right over the city. It's almost like a fog, but it's actually not as bad today because it's just a dew point of 19. It could be higher, so pretty humid, pretty hot. It's actually 40 degrees today Celsius. So yeah, but we're going to be entering our hold right now over the World Islands, and then while we're in the hold, I'm gonna brief you on the approach, and then we're just gonna shoot the approach and demonstrate that. All right, let's go over to the briefing room. Okay, let's brief the approach and what we want to do over here in Dubai. As you can see, here's my aircraft in a hold right over here, and that's Dubai Airport right over there, but that's not the chart I'm looking for. So if you've got Navigraph, you come over to charts, you go to Dubai, you go to the approach page, and we are looking for the RNAV for runway 12 right. So you've got runway 12 right over here. You've got the ILS, you've got the low visibility ILS, the Cat 2, Cat 3 ILSs, and then you've got the RNP, which is also the RNAV. So as I told you, RNP is a version of RNAV, which is required navigation performance. All right. So as you can see, we've got the little asterisk right over there. Okay. And what's going to happen here is I'm going to refer to plate number 12-2, which is effective the 3rd of November. It's an RNP, runway 12 right, for Dubai, okay? And obviously there is no frequency. The final approach course is 119 degrees. The final approach fix happens at a mandatory altitude of 3,000 feet, which is at Delta Bravo 658, which is right over here. So by the time you reach Delta Bravo 658 and you're going to start your descent, so you see that Delta Bravo 658 right over there, and this is where we start the descent down. It's a 2.8 degree descent down to minimum, so down to the runway, and it's absolutely mandatory that you be 3,000 feet at this point here. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right. And looking at the minimum safe altitudes, on the western side we've got 3,800, on the right hand side, on the eastern side, northeast is 2,400, and the southeast will be 3,000 due to all of the terrain we have here. Like right over, if you zoom in on the map, you can see right here, that's Burj Khalifa, and it tops off at 2,790 feet. And we also have a tower here, which is right near an area called Festival City, and we have another tower here, and those are 790, 768 feet. We got other towers, so these are like cell towers and stuff like that. So that's why we got to keep our MSAs clean. We're currently at 4,000 feet, holding right over here over the World Islands, so we're perfectly safe. And the approach is going to start at PEDOV 3,000. We then head over to Delta Bravo 658, 3,000 feet mandatory. Then we start our descent. It's about 9.9 miles away from touchdown. And we start a 2.8 degree descent down to our minimums. Now, our minimums today, we are a Category Charlie aircraft, so our minimums are going to be 439. And the visibility required is for Category Charlie, it's going to be 1,300 meters. All right, so we've got more than that in terms of our visibility, so we're good to go. All right, so right now we're just going to head back into the cockpit and we're going to shoot this approach. When I do touch down, I will be looking to exit at let me see here. So we'll be landing runway 12 right. We could probably take, if we slow down in time, we could probably take Kilo 13, or actually I think I'll probably be able to take Kilo 11 or Kilo 12, and then we're going to come back onto taxiway Zulu and just come over here and park at, maybe Foxtrot 25 or something. So but for the main part, we're just going to be doing the approach, all right, which is going to be our RNAV into runway 12 right. All right, so that's going to be the approach, and yeah, come with me now as we go ahead and program all of this into the box and shoot the approach. See you back in the cockpit. All right, back in the cockpit, still in our hold right over the World Islands, and what we're going to do now is we're going to come down to the MCDU and we're going to program in. So I started off on the initial page and I put Dubai to Dubai because that's where we're going to be landing. And so now when you come to the flight plan page, I'm going to do the hat right now and just prepare for this approach. So we go into our destination, we go to arrival, and we're going to pick the RNAV for runway 12 right. Okay, so there we go, RNAV 12 right, and that's basically the only type of RNAV we have. All right, so coming back down again, we've got RNAV 12 right. I'm going to select it, and what's going to happen is as we go into plan mode and we zoom out a little bit, you can see right there in yellow, because it's not confirmed yet, we've got PEDOF, we've got Delta Bravo 658, and we have the go around stuff right over there, the go around procedure right over there, and there's our runway. So that's looking good. So I'm gonna pick no stars because we will not be going through a star for this, and I'm going to insert it. All right, so now as you can see, we've got our hold right over here, and then just over there is PEDOF. and basically we can start the approach when we're ready by going direct to ped off and then starting what we have to do. So what I'm going to do now is, so that's the flight plan page. I'll go to the RNAV page, just going to make sure there's no ILS tuned, and we don't have to tune any VORs. We've got Minhad Air Force Base tracking, but there are no VORs at Dubai International Airport, so we're going to keep those in auto tune. I'm going to make sure that the ILS is turned off. This is very important. Make sure the ILS is turned off on your FCU. Alright, so that does the RNAV page. Now we come to the progress page. I'm going to put OMDB 1 to right, put it in there. That's going to give us a greater bearing and distance accuracy. I'm checking that the accuracy is high, GPS primary. We need 1.0, but we have 0.03, which is very good. Okay, accuracy is looking good. We now come to our performance page. We're going to go next phase, next phase, next phase until we come to the approach page. All right. Now here we want to put in our QNH, which is 1002 today. Temperature is 40 degrees. The winds are 180 at 10 knots. And our minimums for this approach today is going to be, as per the chart, 439. And we put it there. All right. So that's basically done. So now we go from performance, we go to fuel prediction. All our fuel parameters are looking good. I like to keep 1.5 on my final, giving me 45 minutes. And from fuel prediction, we go to secondary flight plan and we copy active. And that is basically how we do that in preparation for the approach. All right, so I'm going to come back to performance, and that's pretty much done. So what I have to do now is I'm going to go ahead and tell the aircraft that we want to go for this approach. All right, and it's very, very simple. I'm coming back into ARC. So ped off is right over there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to dial in 3000 and I'm going to pull, let the aircraft start its descent. Thrust idle open descent, 3000 blue. And I'm also going to tell the aircraft go directly to ped off. So I push the direct to button and I scroll, find ped off. There we go, it's got it connected right over there, and I'm gonna insert it. All right, and now the aircraft is leaving the hold and it's going directly to ped off. We are coming up on 17 miles. The book says we have to start configuring by 15. So I'm gonna start slowing the aircraft down now. We've already activated the approach phase. Alright, so the aircraft is now slowing down. It's going to maintain a green dot speed for us. We're reaching 3,000 feet. We're coming up on ped off right now, which is looking really, really good. We've got our lateral deviation and our vertical deviation bars right over there. Aircraft is maintaining green dot. Now guys, if you want to know when your flaps are going to be available in the A320, instead of having to memorize speeds like this placard over here, all you have to do is look over here. You see this little amber orangey color bar. When you are slower than that, when you're below that, flaps 1 is available. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and engage flaps 1. All right, speed check, flaps 1. Now as I engaged flaps 1, which is 1 notch of slack, so as you can see, another bar came. Now as soon as I go below that, I know for a fact that flaps 2 is available. All right, so that's the beauty of the Airbus. There's no guesswork. Everything's right there in front of you. We are now at ped off and we're going to be flying inbound towards Delta Bravo 658 very soon. And what we're going to do now is we are going to arm the approach. So we simply push the approach button and you get approach nav final in blue. I'm going to go ahead now, give us flaps 2. So speed check, flaps 2. Flaps are coming out. We're going to use auto brakes low for this approach. And yeah, I can even do the approach checklist now if I wanted to. It's completed, don't worry about it. Here comes the vertical deviation right in. It's kind of like an artificial ILS. And as it comes down, we're going to go ahead, get the landing gear down, select flaps 3, arm the speed brakes, come up here, turn on the lights, go down here, push on the PA button and tell the cabin crew to be seated. And that's pretty much it. Now the go around altitude for this approach is, yep, the missed approach procedure is just climb direct to Delta Bravo 614, then on track 134 to Delta Bravo 655 at 4,000, all right? and then we go to tile 2 and hold. So I'm established now on the final approach for this, so I'm gonna go ahead and set 4,000 as a go around altitude, and then when I get to 2,000 feet I'm gonna go flaps full and the landing checklist. And as you can see, it's going straight for the runway. We're maintaining that. And yeah, so far so good. Nicely descending. Downtown Dubai in the distance. That's Port Rashid just down here. This is the what we call the Dubai waterfront market. So if you're looking for nice seafood in Dubai, come here. And we're right over what's called the Deira Island. So now we're coming up on 2,000. There we go, 2,000. Gonna go flap full, and we can do the landing checklist, which is ECAM memo landing no blue. So landing checklist is completed, and all we have to do is land the aircraft. So that's basically it, guys. Remember that RNAV, it's got precision in it, but it is categorized as a non-precision approach. All right, it's very important that you keep that in mind, which means when I get to minimums, I will have to disconnect the autopilot and land the aircraft manually. This is not an ILS. It's not gonna touch down for me automatically. All right. So once I get to minimums, what I'm gonna do is I'm just basically gonna do a go around and then go into a holding position, and that's pretty much it. All right. So what we want to do next is I'm gonna do a go around, and then I'll come back and I'll put myself back on the approach. And then what I want to do is I want to show you how we track the accuracy. All right, so I've got the progress tracking my accuracy, but in order to be able to accurately know that the aircraft is doing the right altitude at the right point, we have a chart, we have a table on the chart that we're going to use. There's 1,000, it's checked, and we're going to refer to that chart and just make sure that the aircraft is following those points, that profile as it should. Looking at our track FPA, yep, we are pretty much like 2.8 degrees nose down, so that's looking good as well. So here comes the runway, nice and clear. We're steady on the profile right over there. As soon as I get to minimums, I'm gonna initiate a go around, and I'm gonna go back around, and I'm gonna do the approach again, but this time it's going to be with me tracking
100 above.
The distance and altitude parameters. Okay, so we're just 100 above. Minimums, going around, pushing forward. All right, Mantoga SRS go around track, and we've got a positive rate of climb. We're gonna go gear up and go around flaps 1 notch up. There we go, aircraft is climbing away. We've got F speed, which means we can now go from flaps 3 or wherever we are straight to flaps 1. There we go. And then once we cross the green S, we're going to be going for clean configuration. And basically the aircraft now is going to go onto its go around track, and it's basically just going to follow around. For some reason I disconnected the autopilot, sorry. And yeah, so now you've got lever climb, so bring this back 2 clicks to climb, and thrust climb, open climb, and 4,000 in blue. And I'm basically now gonna pull the head in, and I'm gonna take us back downwind, and we're gonna try this approach once more. All right, so let's go to a heading of 300 degrees. There we go, coming up on 300 set, and I'll take her up to 3,800 because that's going to be the minimum safe altitude in that sector. And once I reach 3,800, then I'm going to descend down to 3,000 again, and then try the approach one more time. All right, so I'll get back to you guys when I'm ready for the approach once again. So making our turn downtown Dubai, coming back into view. All right, get back to you guys when I'm ready for the next approach. Alrighty guys, we're back out again, and now it's time to head back towards ped off. Alright, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna come direct to, we're gonna find ped off, and I'm gonna insert it, and now the aircraft is gonna start its turn back towards ped off. We're already at 3,000 feet, so we're at the altitude we need to be. We are currently 15 track miles away, so I'm gonna go ahead and put flaps 1 and start configuring. All right, so the table that I was referring to is this distance to runway 12 right and altitude table. Okay, so I'll have this chart up on the screen. So as you can see, it starts on the left at 6.5 miles, which means at 6.5 miles away from the runway, we need to be 1,990 feet. So the way we check our distance is basically from here on the progress page. So I've already put Dubai 12 right in there. And this is our current distance from the runway. All right. So we now need to make sure that when this says 6.5, that says 1,990. All right, or as close to it as possible. So that's what we're gonna do in order to make sure that the RNAV is doing its thing correctly. All right, so as we make our turn in towards payoff, I'll arm the approach and we'll take her in. So yeah, right over the Arabian Sea right now, turning back in towards back towards Dubai, and it's fairly clear. You can actually see the mountains of Ras Al Khaimah in the distance where we did the other approaches, the VOR and the ILS. So that's Ras Al Khaimah right over there. And downtown Dubai way in the distance right there. World Islands coming to view as well. And yep, coming up here, all the parameters have been put in there, so we're pretty much good to go. And now all we have to do is, as we come in, we're just 3.4 miles away from payoff. As we come in, I'm gonna arm the approach. Now notice that when we arm the approach, basically when you do an ILS, you arm both autopilots, but when you're doing an RNAV or a VOR, you only need one. All right, so since I'm flying from the captain's side, I'm using autopilot 1, but either one works just as well, you know. So, but I'm using number 1 because I'm the captain. Alrighty, so 1.8 miles away from payoff, and we can go ahead actually and arm the approach now. So we'll push that button there. Approach nav. All right, the aircraft is now in approach mode. Gonna go ahead, give us flaps 2, speed check, flaps 2. There we go, she's starting to slow down. And just before we start that descent, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna now give it landing gear down, speed checked, we're below the amber marker, so flaps 3, arm the speed brakes, and get those lights on. Tell the cabin crew, be seated, whatever. Alright, airport's right there in front of us, but I'm not going visual, I'm going with my instruments. So as we come up on Delta Bravo 658 and we cross right through it, we're now looking for our distances. So we're currently 10.3 miles away. All right, just coming up on 10.2, 10.1, and when that is 6.5, we need to be 1,990 feet. So let's see how it does. Here we go, speed, final approach. I'm gonna go ahead and give it full flaps and let the aircraft do its thing. It's pitching down. I'm gonna set the go around altitude, which is 4,000 in Dubai, and the aircraft is now lowering down the nose and trying to do its approach. According to the vertical deviation, we're about 100 feet above where we should be, but as you can see, the aircraft is adjusting the vertical speed to catch up. All right, so we're pretty much good to go. So we're currently 8.2 miles. 8 miles now. 6.5 is what we're looking for, and at 6.5 we need to be 1,990 feet. Here we go, catching up to our vertical profile. Sometimes you just gotta trust the aircraft and let it do its thing. But yeah, there's 7 miles on our distance. 6.9, 8, 7, 6.6, and 6.5. We're slightly high. We're very slightly high. All right. So 5 miles, 5.5 miles, we have to be 1,690. So we're coming up on 5 miles. We're 5.9 now. We knew we were slightly high, but that's okay. Coming up on 5.5 now. And it was 1,690. We're about 100 high still, but we're still looking okay. All right, so now the next would be 4.5, 1,400. So let's see, 4.5, 1,400. We're slightly high, but it's still maintaining, so that's going to be all right. 4.5 and 1,000. Yep, just a little bit over 1,400. So it is catching up. So that's good. Next is 3.5, 1,100. So yep, runway is coming up, looking good. And yep, 3.5, 1,100. Come on, 3.5, 1,100. Yeah, still a little bit over, but it's okay. It's fine. And 2.5, 800 is what we're looking for. So we're in 2.8 now.
1,000.
That's checked. Got the runway in sight. 2.5 and just a little bit over 800, which is absolutely okay. Next is 1.5 and 500. Well, right, usually right about now I would disconnect and hand fly the aircraft down anyways, so yeah. But yep, there's 1.5 and we are pretty much just literally less than 100 feet above. So I'm happy with that. And on the Pappies, I've got 2 reds and 2 whites, so our profile is looking good on the Pappies as well. We can go ahead and actually disconnect. So, but I'm not going to disconnect. I'm just going to have a little bit more fun. I'm going to go toga, go around flaps, toga SRS, go around track, positive rate, landing gear up. I'm just going to go back up and have a little bit of fun. But yeah, and we've got F speed now. So let's go from flaps 3 to flaps 1. And that, guys, is how you do an RNAV approach. All right. So I hope you found this useful. I hope you enjoyed the video. For those of you who are not subscribed, please consider subscribing. And if you've got any questions specific to this approach, or any other questions for that matter, let me know in the comments below. I will respond to every single comment. And yeah, thank you so much, guys, for watching. We're back, and we will have more videos coming for you in the days to come, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you click the notification button and subscribe if you haven't. And yeah, thanks again for watching. God bless every single one of you, and bye bye.